चले बस स्टार्ट कर लेते हैं। ये ग्रुप में भेज दिए, ठीक है। अनसॉल्व्ड एंड सॉल्व्ड। तो अच्छा, स्टार्ट में मेरे ख्याल से, अच्छा इस क्वेश्चन से करें कि ना करें। वन सेकेंड। अच्छा सर, लेट्स लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन, ठीक है। ये थोड़ा सा फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन थोड़ा सा ना ट्रिकी है। अच्छा, द लेटेस्ट क्वेश्चंस आर स्लाइटली मोर कॉम्प्लिकेटेड, ठीक है, नॉट कॉम्प्लिकेटेड, just more creative, I think. Actually, seeing the overall reaction, right? First one, this is the overall reaction. So, of photosynthesis. So 6 CO2 plus 6H2O, glucose plus 6O2. उससे क्या, water is oxidized in this process according to the following half equation. ठीक है। तो ये कौन सी equation है? This is the oxidation equation, the half equation, right? Where it's actually losing electrons. So that's your oxidation equation. And this is your overall equation. ये वाली ना overall equation है। Say use these equations to deduce the half equation for the reduction of carbon dioxide in this process. ठीक है। तो क्वेश्चन थोड़ा सा रिवर्स में है कि अगर if I go back to the board, वो क्या होता था? There were two equations, right? There would always be two reactions. ठीक है। ये तो खैर इलेक्ट्रोलिसिस है, लेकिन इलेक्ट्रोलिसिस में भी you have two reactions, right? You have gains electrons, reduction, who loses electrons, that's oxidation. So overall equation किस तरह बनती थी? दोनों को you would just add them up, right? And in this case, if I just quickly add both of them together, तो क्या बनेगा इसका overall reaction? So I have to make the number of electrons equal. तो उसमें ना I would have to multiply this by 2. तो लेफ्ट साइड पे क्या हो जाएगा? इसको मल्टीप्लाई करो 2 से, so that's going to be 4 water molecules, and this is 2 water molecules, so that's a total of 6 water molecules. फिर तो ये लेफ्ट साइड पे हो गया। राइट साइड पे क्या होगा? there's going to be O2 plus 4H plus 1, और इधर राइट साइड पे क्या होगा? it's going to be इसको डबल कर लो, so there's going to be 2H2 and 2 and 4 OH ions. ठीक है। so that's my overall reaction, ठीक है। इसका और इसका सम, और ये मतलब ऑब्वियस है, ठीक है, द टू हाफ इक्वेशंस। अच्छा, क्वेश्चन अब उल्टा है, ठीक है। सो इट्स एग्जैक्टली इन रिवर्स। इन रिवर्स मींस कि दे गिव अस द ओवरऑल इक्वेशन। तो फॉर एग्जांपल इसी को मैं रिवर्स पे करता हूँ कि देयर इज अ रिएक्शन वेयर Al3 प्लस gains 3 electrons to become aluminium, ये रिडक्शन। एंड इसका ऑक्सीडेशन पार्ट है कि Na loses electrons to become Na plus 1 electron. तो if I want to make the ये oxidation equation है, and the other one is my reduction equation. अच्छा, इसको I'll multiply it by 3 so that the electrons gained and lost are equal, and I'm just going to add them up. ठीक है। so if I add them up, it's going to be क्या होगा? Al3 plus 3Na, and what are my products? It's Al plus 3Na plus 1, ठीक है। तो सिंपल मैथ क्या होगी? सिंपल मैथ इज दैट your two equations, your oxidation equation plus your reduction equation is basically equal to your overall equation, right? This is what we did. Okay, oxidation and reduction, just add them up, you get your overall reaction. तो इसी को अगर मैं रीअरेंज करके देखूं, इस क्वेश्चन में ना ही इज गिवन अस, अब जो क्वेश्चन था ना, ही हैड गिवन अस द ओवरऑल इक्वेशन, he had given us the oxidation equation. He wanted to figure out what the reduction equation is. So अगर reduction को मैं subject of the equation बनाऊं, so it's going to be what? I take the overall equation and I subtract the oxidation equation. ठीक है? तो ये आपने करना है इस क्वेश्चन में. But is this point clear that oxidation equation plus reduction equation is your overall equation? So if you just rearrange that, so you can get this as well. If you want to find the reduction equation, they tell you that the overall equation is given and the oxidation equation is given, so you can just go back as well. ठीक है? तो ये point clear है ना सारों को? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
So look at this. So basically, look at this question. Basically, so it's exactly the same identity we're going to use. That is, the reduction equation. वही निकाले वो क्या ना उसने. So our reduction equation is basically what? It's our overall equation minus what? Minus my oxidation equation. Because I'll get my answer. तो इसको लगा लेते हैं. It's what? 6 CO2. That's my overall equation. 6 CO2 and what? Plus 6 H2O. And the product is what? Glucose, C6H12O6 plus 6O2. अच्छा, इसमें से what do I need to subtract? I need to subtract this is my overall equation, so I need to subtract my oxidation equation, जो कि क्या है? That's 2 water molecules. And the product is what? O2 plus what? 4H plus 1 plus 4 electrons, right? ठीक है, तो ये मैंने करना है. Overall equation में से I'm going to subtract my oxidation equation. Clear है ना? Follow कर रहे हो ना? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, but except this, अच्छा इन दोनों को I'm just going to subtract both of them and I'll probably get my answer. Except कि जब आप equations को ना, when you add them up, मतलब ये overall equations, so one equation plus the other equation gave you the overall equation. The equations were getting multiplied by a certain number as well. Before you add, it wasn't just simple addition. It was, I mean, electrons बराबर करके you had to make them equal. Then you had to add them. तो अब यहाँ पे Na है ना, तो लेकिन यहाँ पे equation में you're getting 3Na. Why? Because you multiplied it by 3. So I'm going to look for that. I'm going to look for the number के जिससे वो multiply हो रहा था. So if you go back, you'd notice that यहाँ पे कितने O2s है? Overall equation में there's 6 O2s, right? यहाँ पे कितने O2s हैं? आपकी जो oxidation half equation है, ठीक है? That's 1 O2. तो final equation में why are you getting 6 O2? You're getting 6 O2 क्योंकि this equation must have been multiplied by 6. ठीक है? Overall equation में 6 O2s आई तब से when your oxidation equation must have been multiplied by 6. ठीक है? Is that part clear?
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, so I'm going to multiply this entire thing by 6. तो ये आखिरी दो जो होंगे that will become 24. Or this will become 6 O2s and that will become 12 H2Os. So now I just need to subtract. तो subtract कर लेते हैं. तो यहाँ पे क्या आएगा? It's going to be 6 CO2s and minus 6 H2Os. ठीक है, मतलब 6 H2O minus 12 H2O, that gives you this. इधर क्या आएगा? It's going to be, the O2s are going to get cancelled out. When I subtract the right side, it's going to be glucose. So C6H12O6 minus 24H plus 1 and minus 24 electrons. Okay, so now I've found my reduction equation. Okay. Except for one thing, okay, जो equation है ना, you have to sort of rearrange it. Math में minus x plus x आता है ना, so what you're going to do is you're going to just kind of try and rearrange it so that the minus things go on the other side, they become plus. So it's actually, if I rearrange it, so it's going to be 6 CO2. Udhar se 24H plus 1 plus 24 electrons. And product mein, that's 6 C6H12O6 and plus 6H2. So nothing different. It's exactly the same equation. I've just rearranged it. Okay. So is this the pehla question? Is this clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, the scene clear है सारे? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
चलो अब फिर से बाकी questions relatively easy होंगे. For example, this one, draw a fully labeled diagram of the apparatus. ठीक है, remember drawing. Drawing के marks, and there's always more marks for drawing. That should be used to measure the standard electrode potential of O2 in half equation 1 under half equation 1. So half equation 1 was over here. वो कह रहे हैं इसका निकालो, ये जो भी है half equation 1, this one. और इसका draw करो, draw the electrode and so first thing I'm going to try and figure out what the potential for this electrode is. इसमें क्या है, water है, O2 and H plus 1, right? So if you look at the data booklet, water, O2 and H plus 1, is there, कहाँ गया data booklet? अच्छा, is there any electrode that has water, O2 and you water or H2 or OH ions, not this one. So I think it's this one. ठीक है, so water, O2 and H plus 1. अच्छा, since it's got a gas and ions, तो इसका मतलब है वो gas वाला, you have to draw the gas वाला electrode. ठीक है, वो कौन सा था, which was it was the one that was that had a gas jar in it. So I'm going to draw that one. ठीक है, so there's going to be a gas jar. And it is O2 gas. In the solution, there's going to be what, H plus 1. Achha, and water bhi tha, but you don't write water. ठीक है, H plus 1 aqueous means there's water. ठीक है, so then you're going to add a platinum electrode. The H plus 1 concentration, mention the concentration, that's going to be 1 mole per dm cube. अच्छा, फिर the O2 gas is going to be at 1 atmosphere pressure. और क्या होगा इसमें? अच्छा, no need to write water. अच्छा, how do you measure the electrode potential? उसके साथ you have to draw the standard hydrogen electrode. ठीक है, the standard hydrogen electrode is the one which is used to measure potentials. तो वो एक और gas electrode बना लो. ठीक है, that one is going to have H2. Remember, this is our reference electrode, if you remember this. अच्छा, it's going to have H2 gas, and in the solution there's going to be H plus 1 aqueous. Any HCl वगैरह होगा, that's also going to be 1 mole per. That's also going to be 1 mole per dm cube, and there's going to be a platinum electrode in this as well. और बाकी क्या, वोल्टमीटर से कनेक्ट करो दोनों को. And there's one thing missing, only one thing, and that's our salt bridge. ठीक है, इसे ड्रॉ कर लेते हैं. So that's our salt bridge. Label karo everything. So that's our salt bridge. Okay. Make sure you mention this that's your platinum electrode. ठीक है. तो ये clear है diagram? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
तो बस 1 ATM. ठीक है. अच्छा, remember मैंने WhatsApp के ऊपर I've sent this worksheet. अच्छा, for the cell drawn, use the data booklet to calculate the E0 cell and deduce the which electrode is the positive electrode. तो hydrogen electrode का हमें पता है, that's our reference electrode, that's our 0 volts, right? I mean, you can look at the data booklet, that's also going to show you 0 volts. And the other one, this one over here, the water wala jo tha, that's 1.23 volts. So this one over here, that's 1.23 volts. So उससे E0 cell निकालो, so that's reduction or higher minus lower, right? Reduction minus oxidation. So the E0 cell is exactly 1.23. So that's higher minus lower, 1.23 volts. Which one is a positive one? The higher potential is your positive one. And so that's your positives, and this is your negative. Okay, the lower potential is your negative. The electrons, he didn't ask for the electron movement. The electron movement is always towards the positive. Okay, so you clear?
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, फिर नेक्स्ट वन है, क्यूब सॉल्व क्यों होगा? अच्छा, एक सेकंड अपनी तो इस कर लेते हैं इसको जल्दी से. So a question. He's saying that this is, I think, your reduction equation because it's clearly gaining electrons, right? 5 electrons being gained. Half equation for the reduction. Use data booklet to predict whether the reaction is feasible when aqueous solution of iodate 5 ions. This is iodate 5. They react with bromide ions. ठीक है? तो कह रहा है इसका reaction, is it feasible with bromide ions? So I'm going to go and look for the equation for bromide. I'm going to see what possible reactions can bromide undergo. So bromide का ना एक ही होगा. I mean, that's the only one where Br minus 1 is involved. ठीक है? The bottom one, this one. इसका potential कितना? That's 1.07. ठीक है? So there's only one thing that Br minus 1 can do, and that's lose electrons. ठीक है? That's the only thing, and it's 1.07 volts. So I'm going to write it next to it. तो क्या था? Br2 plus 2 electrons. And it was 1.07 volts. Now you can see reduction. The higher one gains electrons, right? So this is the higher one. So it's going to go in the forward direction, which it is already going in the forward direction. So there's nothing wrong with that. So the higher one is the one that's going to gain electrons, and the lower one is the one that's going to lose electrons. तो आपका जो lower one है, ठीक है, that's going to get oxidized, and you can just add them up. लेकिन make sure that the number of electrons gained and lost are equal. So if you do that, तो इसको किससे मल्टीप्लाई करना पड़ेगा? 5 से, और इसको मल्टीप्लाई करना पड़ेगा, that's 5. ठीक है. Electrons, 10 electrons gained and 10 electrons, 10 electrons gained and 10 electrons lost. So if you add them up, you're going to get, इसको देख लो ना, you're going to get this equation. And he's saying, तो ये clear है ना? Is this clear? Higher gains, lower loses, that's it. ठीक है? Clear है?
Yes, sir.
और वो देख लो, खाली 1 mark है. ठीक है? वो drawing के ज़्यादा marks थे. So अच्छा, now he's saying that predict whether the reaction is feasible. So for feasible, I told you that the E0 cell has to be greater than 0. So it's reduction potential minus oxidation potential. So it's 1.19 minus 1.07. So you're getting what? You're getting 0.12, जो कि कम है, ठीक है, not that high, लेकिन it is actually it is going to be feasible, ठीक है, क्योंकि greater than 0 है, तो it's actually feasible. As the next one, you think that aluminium is extracted from Al2O3 by electrolysis. The half equation for the reaction at anode, okay, this is the oxidation equation. Well, can I write the half equation? Use the half equation to write the ionic equation for the electrolysis of Al2O3. So, पहले तो ये oxidation वाली है. So, what is the reduction? I mean, it's just a wild guess. What could be the reduction equation? See, you're extracting aluminium from Al2O3. Al2O3 में aluminium is aluminium plus 3. So if you're extracting aluminium, so it's obviously going to be, the reduction equation will be that aluminium is the one that's getting reduced. So that's my reduction equation. So I got both equations, and I'm going to just I'm just going to add them up. So the electrons are not equal. So I'll multiply this by 2. I'll multiply the other one by 3. So it's going to be 2Al plus 3 okay, O minus 2 plus 3C. And the product is going to be 3CO plus 2Al. And that's it. Or again, वो सिर्फ एक mark है, ठीक है? Is this clear? This one?
Yes, sir.
So ये वाला हमने कल किया था. You're saying calculate. Now this is about, I told you that there were 2 formulas, ठीक है? You just had to, it's a moles question. One I told you was there's a formula for calculating charge, that's Q is equal to IT, which is a physics formula. The time is given and the current that's passing through it is also given. So इसका अंदर मुझे कोई आंसर बताए क्या होगा? Q is equal to IT. What is the charge? That's 3 hours. 3 times hour क्या होता है? 3600 seconds. And multiplied by 3.5 times 10 to the power 5 amperes. I सब okay, what do you get for this? किसी ने किया कैलकुलेट कि नहीं किया?
Sir, 3.78 times 10 power 9.
कितना है? 3 point?
78 times 10 power 9.
And coulombs, right?
Yes, sir.
So then I told you that charge and moles of electrons had a relationship, that you had 1 mole of electrons, तो उसका क्या होता था? Charge क्या होता था? If you had 1 mole of electrons, the charge that's flowing through the circuit is 96,500 coulombs, which I told you was the Faraday constant. It's the charge on 1 mole of electrons. So if in your circuit, this is the amount of charge that's flowing through it, 3.78 times 10 per 9. So try and figure out what is the amount of electrons that's flowing through it. So I think वो क्या होगा? 3.78 times 10 per 9 divided by 96,500. So how many moles of electrons do we get?
So 39,170.
170?
Yes, sir.
So this is the amount of moles of electrons that is flowing through the circuit. So how was aluminium produced? Aluminium की equation क्या थी? Aluminium plus 3 plus 3 electrons. And it was forming aluminium. Now we know okay, it's how much electrons do we have? That's 39170 moles. तो एल्यूमिनियम के मोल्स क्या होंगे? That's going to be half of that. That's going to be 39170 divided by 3 moles. So how do you convert moles to mass? It's going to be multiplied by the AR, which is 27. So mass निकालो. What mass do we get for this?
It's 350,000.
ठीक है, so we're getting 350,000 grams. ठीक है. So just remember कि एक तो Q is equal to IT, you can figure out the total charge. And the other thing is that the electron moles can be converted into charge. You can figure out the charge or vice versa. Charge pata na, तो you can figure out the moles of electrons. So now, say Sarathi, you can just make the equation yourself. As I define the term standard electrode potential, yeah, we did write down this definition. Okay? So what is this term standard electrode potential? So it is the potential difference measured किसके बीच में, between a standard electrode. So basically it's your potential, you're measuring the potential difference of an electrode. So it's the potential difference of a standard electrode. बल्कि of a standard electrode नहीं, between reference point क्या होता था? That was a hydrogen electrode. So it's the potential difference calculated between between a standard electrode and a standard hydrogen electrode. Okay, that's it. So it's that's what it is. Measured under standard conditions. Okay, you can add that. As a measured under standard conditions. That's about it. So as the next one, there's a drawing. Okay, remember drawing is again 4 mark. He's saying draw this electrochemical cell. ये दो different electrodes are. So one of them involves ions. It's a metal and metal ion. So metal, the electrode will be made out of metal. जो कि क्या है इस case में Au. And where would the ions be? The ions will be part of the solution. Okay, so the ions are part of the solution. I said the other one is a solution that's nitric acid. Or उसमें NO gas है. So now the gas, NO gas, will be in a gas jar. And your nitric acid is going to be in the solution. Or इसके अंदर ना, there's going to be a platinum. तो वो mention कर लो कि it's a platinum electrode. So over here, you don't really need an electrode because the metal itself is the electrode. Use a voltmeter. And also you need a salt bridge. ठीक है, उसको भी label कर लो. That's it. Just label everything. ठीक है, the NO gas is going to be at 1 atmosphere pressure. EU3 plus nitric acid, etc. That's going to be 1 mole per dm cube. All of that. ठीक है, voltmeter label कर लो, salt bridge label it, platinum electrode. ठीक है, label this. तो ये डायग्राम कंप्लीट हो गया. ठीक है, और फिर वो कह रहे हैं कि पता नहीं कुछ कैसे. हाँ, he says write an ionic equation to show the spontaneous reaction that occurs when electric current is drawn from the cell. तो वो सेल का एक रिएक्शन जो है वो तो ये वाला है. That's this one. क्योंकि one of the electrode was Au3 plus with Au. और दूसरा था ना, that was nitric acid, which is basically HNO3 and NO gas, right? So this is the other equation. तो ये जो दो इलेक्ट्रोड नहीं है, तो यही दो हैं, ठीक है. वन ऑफ देम इज AuEu3 plus, the other one is nitric acid NO electrode, right? So the middle equation, I don't know why it's there. उसको ignore कर लो अभी. So it's one equation is this one, the other one is this one. So the higher potential is the one that's going to gain electrons, and the lower potential is the one that's going to lose electrons. अच्छी बात है कि electrons पहले से ही equal हैं, ठीक है. So just add them up. The reactant is AU3 plus. और नीचे reactant क्या, that's NO2H2O. अच्छा, product क्या, first वाले में that's AU solid. Second वाले में the product is 4H plus 1 plus NO3 minus 1. So that's your, I mean, that's it, ठीक है. And E naught cell of the reaction, that's going to be the reduction minus oxidation. So ऊपर वाली reduction, नीचे वाली oxidation. So it's 1.5 minus 0.96. And it's 0.54 volts. ठीक है, clear है?
Yes.
अच्छा, अब कहते हैं 3 marks. ठीक है, ये slightly not very confusing, but slightly more difficult. Now he's saying gold can be oxidized by a mixture of concentrated hydro, so gold, और वो कह रहा है gold can be oxidized by a mixture of concentrated hydrochloric acid and concentrated nitric acid known as aqua regia. So hydrochloric acid and nitric acid have a very high concentration. So can I explain why aqua regia is able to dissolve gold? In your answer, state and explain what effect the use of concentrated hydrochloric acid and concentrated nitric acid have on the values of equations 2 and 3. So I think he's specifically talking about equations 2 and 3. तो वापस आ जाते हैं यहाँ पे, ठीक है, पिछले वाले को रब कर देते हैं. अच्छा, रिमेंबर वो कह रहा है कि gold can be dissolved, ठीक है, and he's specifically talking about equations 2 and 3. So if you look at equation number, so he wants gold to dissolve, he wants gold to get oxidized, to lose electrons. तो उससे वो concentrated hydrochloric acid डाला हुआ है, ठीक है. So remember that. So gold is dissolving in hydrochloric acid concentrated and concentrated nitric acid. So if that is losing electrons, nitric acid is the one that's gaining electrons. ठीक है, I'm just focusing on equations 2 and 3. Or remember, he said that gold has to dissolve and it has to get oxidized in aqua regia, which is तो हमारा जो starting material है ना, that's gold. और aqua regia क्या था? It was HCl plus HNO3. अच्छा, so the thing is that I guess that's what's going to happen. Gold will dissolve, and your nitric acid will get gold will oxidize, and nitric acid will get reduced. तभी dissolve होगा. अच्छा, but if you look at the equation and look at the values, so that is not really going to happen. क्योंकि मसला इन दोनों में ना, this is the higher one and the other one is the lower one. So जो higher होता है ना, that's the one that actually gains electrons. It doesn't lose electrons, it actually gains electrons, ठीक है. और ये lower है, तो lower one is the one that's going to lose electrons. So we've got a problem, and the problem is that the reaction will probably not happen. जो नजर आ रहा है ना, it's not going to happen, ठीक है. मतलब ये clear है ना कि reaction नहीं होगा. Is this clear, this thing?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, तो steam साले, is this clear? Ahmed, clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the question is, why is it dissolving? The reason it's dissolving is कि उसने एक और चीज कहा था कि he said that it was I mean this aqua regia was very concentrated. ठीक है, तो एक सेकंड में हैंग हो गया. अच्छा, he said that it was very concentrated. तो अब मुझे बताओ कि वैल्यूज हमने पढ़ा था कि if the equilibrium shifts either side the value changes, right? तो अगर Cl-1 concentrated होगा, where would this equilibrium shift? This equilibrium will shift further to the left. If it shifts further to the left, it's going to produce more electrons and your value will decrease. It's going to become more negative. तो फिर इसका मतलब है concentrated HCl में ना, it's not going to be 1 volt. It's actually going to be slightly more negative, lower side पे होगी. So maybe it's 0.85 volts or 0.8 volts. मुझे नहीं पता, वो Nernst equation से we can find that out. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot lower than 1 volt because Cl is concentrated and the equilibrium will shift further to the left. और उसी तरह if nitric acid is concentrated, NO3 ions ज्यादा होंगे, then this equilibrium will shift further to the right. And if it shifts further to the right, तो values जो होती हैं वो ज्यादा हो जाती हैं. ठीक है, it's going to become more positive, so it's going to be, let's say it's 1.2 volts. अब ठीक है, तो what concentrated HCl and concentrated nitric acid did was it shifted the first equilibrium further to the left, shifted the second equilibrium further to the right, made that potential lower and made this potential higher, relatively higher. तो ये higher हो गया और वो क्या हो गया, that's lower. Now the reaction will happen. Higher will gain electrons, lower would lose electrons. So gold will dissolve. ठीक है, तो इसके आंसर में ना all you have to write 3 mark का क्वेश्चन है, उसमें बस बताना है कि if you use concentrated HCl, equilibrium number 2 will shift further to the left and its potential will decrease. And concentrated nitric acid will shift equilibrium number 3 further to the right and its potential will increase. And hence your E0 cell, yani reduction minus oxidation, will come out to be positive. ठीक है, तो उसने वही कहा था कि अफेक्ट बताओ और E values पे क्या अफेक्ट होगा and explain why it's dissolving. तो is this clear, this thing?
Yes, sir.
So इधर वो कह रहा है कि इस क्वेश्चन में वो कह रहा है इसके E0 cell, उसने what he did was the half equations are already made. Sorry, the overall equation is made. So can you guess what are the 2 electrodes that are involved? यानी उसने वो एक second. So you got to guess what the overall the half equations are, which is pretty easy. कि copper 2 plus है और copper plus 1 है. तो ये कौन सा वाला electrode है? It's वो copper 2 plus copper plus 1 वाला किधर है? पता नहीं कहाँ गया. वो ये वाला है. The one that I'm marking over here. ठीक है, that's your electrode. अच्छा, और by looking at it you can also guess कि दूसरा कौन सा, I-1 I2. So that's the other electrode. So it's I-1 and I2. ठीक है, so one of them is 0.15, the other one is what? 0.54. अच्छा, फिर डायरेक्शन भी देख लो, इक्वेशन में क्या है. Copper 2 plus changes to copper 1 plus. So this is going in the forward direction in the equation. और दूसरे को क्या हो रहा है? I-1 changes to I2. So I-1 changes to I2. मतलब overall equation was made this way. ठीक है, so if I just followed the overall equation, these were the 2 electrodes and this is the direction of the reactions. But this reaction will not happen. By just looking at it, it should not happen. Higher is the one that should gain electrons, right? This is not the higher. 0.15, the other one is 0.54. So it's pretty obvious that this reaction is not going to happen because this is not the higher potential, and it should not be gaining electrons. तो इसका उसने वही पूछा था कि is this reaction feasible or not? So it's not feasible. लेकिन how would you write this? वो आप उसको measure करोगे E naught cell. मतलब देखे तो सामने नजर आ रहा है कि it's not going to happen, right? You're going to measure the E naught cell, and if you look at the E naught cell, तो reduction minus oxidation. Reduction is 0.15. Oxidation is the other one, which is what 0.54. So obviously you're getting a negative voltage, which is 0.39, I think. तो वो negative इसलिए आ रहा है क्योंकि this was supposed to be the higher one, which when it's not the higher one, तो इसलिए it's coming out to be negative. तो बस ये लिख दो कि this reaction is obviously not feasible because it's got a negative E naught cell. Is this clear? इसका clear है?
Yes, sir.
तो E naught cell minus 0.39 not likely to occur because it's less than 0. ठीक है, चलो ठीक है, ये बैठ के इसके क्वेश्चंस देखना ना. I've sent you the कल we'll do more questions. I've sent the solved and the unsolved, both of them. ठीक है, so let's continue tomorrow then.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Allah
Okay,
Hafiz.
take care. Allah Hafiz.